right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining today for our open demo. I'm Christy Perez. I'm the Partner Success Manager here at Cognition360. I also have Sue Kelly on the webinar with us as well. Sue, if you want to introduce
Hi
yourself.
there.
Sue is our Director of Sales and Marketing. She'll also be watching the chat and the Q&A. We do have both of those open today, so we want to be able to answer your questions as we're going through the demo. So feel free to pop any question that you have into the chat window or into the Q&A. And Sue will make sure to stop me throughout the demo to answer those questions. Again, I'm Christy Perez. Happy to meet with any of you after the webinar is over. Like if you watch the demo and you need more information, feel free to reach out to me. I'll make sure that my information is up at the end as well. It's basically just christy.perez at Cognition360.com. I'm sure you've got emails from Sue that you can get a hold of us that way as well. So with Cognition360, just a little bit about what we do. So we are an analytical reporting platform for ConnectWise. So we basically take your ConnectWise data and we ingest it into a data warehouse, and then it's published into your Power BI. So all of our reporting is in a Power BI, and because of it being in Power BI, the powerful tools that are in Power BI, you've got filtering that you can drill down, lots of reports within reports, and we're up to probably about 150, 170 canned reports that you get out of the gate as well with Cognition. Problems that we're solving, basically taking that muscle and feel out of that management, that day-to-day management that you're doing. So it's giving you the data, the analytics you need to make those key important decisions, whether it's hiring or you need the information to go meet with the client. We actually have full technology business review reports almost made as a template for you to be able to go and then use that and meet with your clients. So full project reporting, sales reporting, pretty much any service KPI metric that you have or have thought of or need reporting on, someone has asked us to create it at this point. I will say I've probably seen about 250, 300 different instances of ConnectWise since I have been doing this. So I've been here a little over 2 years now, and everybody does it a little bit differently. But I will say that our reports do work. Another beauty of Power BI, with a few tweaks here and business rules there, the reports can work, and you don't always have to change how your ConnectWise setup is. It's more or less we can make some business rules for you on our end. So at this time, Sue, did you want to do this poll now, or did you want to do this after I do the webinar, the demo?
Oh, I think we'll do it after, actually, Christy.
Okay. Sounds good. So there is a poll for you coming as well. So what I'm going to do is walk through some of our main reports. I'm going to try to get through as many of these as possible so I can give you guys a pretty good view of the reporting. I'm starting with team utilization with MSPs. This is one of the most important pieces of running an MSP, is how utilized our technicians. This is more of just a summary page here. We've got utilization, realization for Cognition360 is your client time, and then you have that billable utilization, which is basically your realization less any do not bill, no charge. Lots of filtering here. You also have filters over here to the right that you can pull in on every page as well. Up here at the top, you can see I've just got particular teams selected. You can set up your teams however you want to be able to sort the data. If I go to this compare page, this is going to show you the utilization. I'm just looking at last month here. You can actually pull in, show me last week, show me yesterday. You can look at this data however you want. Show me last 6 months. Here you can see for Bernice, she's got 168 hours available. As everybody else here, this number comes directly out of your ConnectWise Manage on your member capacity. So I can tell that everybody is set at 8 hours a day. We're going to look for any PTO charge codes, and we're going to pull those in as well. So any paid time off, vacation, sick, holiday, we're going to pull that out to say, here's what their true staff available hours are for that particular time period. And then out of that, how much time went onto their timesheet. So one of the first things that I always look at when I'm onboarding a client is, are you in the green? We want to have all of that time recorded, whether it's charge code time, internal time. need to know where that capacity lies, like how much of my time is admin or lost time. And then out of this time, this utilized bucket, which includes all internal and client, we're going to go to realize. Realize is going to be your client time only. So out of Bernice's time, she's got 100, close to 170 hours onto her timesheet, almost 113% utilized, and then 156 of those went towards client for a realization of 103%. Almost 7 hours, somewhere between 6.5, 7 hours per day is what she is billing to a client. KPIs that I usually like to look for is somewhere around that, 6.5 hours billable. It's also a great thing to look at from a capacity standpoint. If you have a team and they're hitting, 7 hours billable per day and they're a true remote worker, probably working more like 8.5, 9 hour days if you factor in meetings, trainings, just normal admin time as well. So it's one of those key measurements that I like to say, hey, put this at last week and throw this onto a dashboard for your weekly meetings to make sure that you're looking at this all the time. Lots of other information in here. Invoiceable is going to be anything that's off of an agreement. And then all of these other columns so you can see how much of my client time was do not bill or no charge. Quick ways to look at this. All of this information also has drill through. So you could drill into all time entries, any of the particular time entries. You do have your links to go back into ConnectWise if you need to. And then you could even sort. I just want to see what those PTO hours are. Quick ways to be able to see what is all of the time that Bernice is showing on that timesheet. Another one that I like to look at from this utilization, I love this hourly labor report here. This is letting you see in a particular time across the hours, how busy are we? So I can see that, for this particular example, over the last 24 weeks, you could just say last week if you felt like you had a heavy week. Where's our time going? And then how many hours are being recorded during that time? You can click on any day of the week. It's going to sort that data really quickly for you so you can see any particular day as well. And then you can also take it all the way down to the service technician as well. So like if you're curious, when is Bernice putting in most of her time? This is going to let you see when that's happening. Once all of our time is in, before I get started here, you guys feel free to throw out questions to Sue and she'll ask me those. Technician efficiency. This is how efficient are we with our time. So this is anything that they've worked on. So we have KPI reporting for closed tickets. This is any ticket, any time that's being put in for those technicians. So here you can see average tickets worked on in a day. I have this one sorted up here for 6 months just to give a pretty good average. What I usually recommend doing here is let's look at this at 6 months and then every single week by week. So it's like, here's our 6-month information for a trend. And then underneath it, this is what we looked like last week. Did we have a heavier week? Another cool thing is you can also see this average minutes per ticket. So being able to see, 6 months over a week, you're going to be able to see if these individuals are getting quicker with their tickets. Really cool to watch with those new employees. Also, do you have configs? Do you want configs attached to all your tickets? Is it only on particular boards? So you can see here, I've just got this filtered by the network operations board. Here's the average number of tickets per day. And then here I've got, did I have the config, type, subtype, item, and then also my average time to first time entry here. Your average time to first time entry, a little different than your SLAs and ConnectWise. It can't be tricked. It gives you a really clear idea of how quickly are we getting to these tickets as they're being logged. So ticket is logged, how long before first labor entry is going on these tickets. This time to first time entry, you can do it by median or average. Default is median, just to kind of pull out any of those anomalies like scheduled out tickets or something like that. So it's giving you a clearer look at how quickly that you're getting to those time to first time entry tickets. What I'll usually like is, hey, go look at your tier ones. How quickly are your tier ones hitting those tickets? Especially if your clients are used to getting those tickets less than an hour, or even half an hour I've seen in some data. And then as you start getting busier, that number starts popping up. It's a way to watch that trend, because also that's when some of those seaside issues might happen as well, because your clients are used to getting that level of service. All right, ticket KPI reporting. Again, this is our closed ticket reporting. So this is going to let you see how many tickets were closed by each individual. You can also look at this by customer, by ticket priority. You can actually look at ticket priority and then use your filters and look at it by customer. So you can see all customers and their priorities, how many tickets were closed. And then you've got all of these key KPIs as well. Closed first contact resolution. The difference between these two is closed first contact is going to include 0 or 1-time entry ticket. So those alerts, for instance, that might close with no time. Your first contact resolution, this is going to be truly just 1-time entry. We do, for both of these, exclude out any time or time entry that's less than 3 minutes. So like if it's a communication or an email, the engineer's not going to get dinged for that, for hitting that first contact resolution percentages. Then you have your single tech percentages. These are great to watch, especially from a client standpoint. If you're going to meet with the client, hey, 80% of the time, a single tech is handling your ticket. They're not having to be passed off. Or even for sales, if you can get these metrics to say, hey, you're going up against somebody and you need the data to show, hey, 85% of the time you have one technician working the tickets as they come in, as opposed to this prospect that you have that's saying, I just feel like I get passed around constantly with this other MSP that I'm working with. So it's ways to have the data to back it up if that is, a KPI that is important to you. And it's one of those that I would look at increasing, especially as those tier ones. If you can get those tier ones getting those first touch resolution tickets knocked out by themselves and quick, it's going to make you more efficient, more profitable as well. Reopen tickets is going to show up in here for you too. You again have the drill through to go directly into these tickets and look at them. Great one to watch for new employees, to look for training opportunities. And then here you've got all of this SLA information. This is going to be set with however you have it set in your ConnectWise, but you do have that average time to first time entry as well. Sue, do we have any questions? Just want to make sure.
Yes, there's a question here regarding pricing and whether there's a contract that you have to sign.
Okay, great question. So our pricing is based on ConnectWise users. So it depends on how many users you have. So like our first tier is basically up to 30 users. So up to 30 users, it's $349 a month. And then there is a one-time onboarding fee of $349. That is after trial. So we do give a 21-day risk-free trial. So you sign up, we treat you like a regular client. We're going to onboard you like your regular client. If you signed up anytime in the next probably month or two, I would probably be the one doing your onboarding, as we are hiring. So that might be changing soon. But I probably would be your partner success manager. And from there, it is month to month. So there's no contract except for it's month to month with a 30-day notice to get out of it.
Great, thank you. Yes, one more. Is this a replacement for BrightGauge?
It could be. So really it depends on what you're using your BrightGauge for. So Cognition Analytics, the reports that I'm showing you right now, these are going to be a day back in data. So everything that we look for changes all day long, and then it goes over into your Power BI as of yesterday's data. Now, the cool thing about this from BrightGauge is we're able to pull back as much data as you want. So it's looked at as true analytical reporting, true financial history, where BrightGauge cannot pull that in. Now, as for live data, we have what's called Cognition Live. Cognition Live is our add-on to Cognition360 Analytics. It is an extra $99 a month. That gives you your live data. It's limited. It is going through API instead, using the callbacks of ConnectWise. And it's mainly just the more important information that you would need live to run the business. So I see some of our, much larger MSPs that are kind of layering us with BrightGauge because they've built out all of these dashboards and put a lot of time into it. But really, Cognition Live was created because we had so many partners that said, if you just had this, I could get rid of BrightGauge. So we do have a lot of clients that are able to get rid of BrightGauge and just use the analytics reporting with the live add-on.
Okay, and just, yeah, so any dashboard reports or data available from ConnectWise Sales?
So yes, with sale, let me just see if I can move over to that. So we do have, if you have your sale going into ConnectWise, we do have reports. This is one of them. We actually have a lot of different sales reports. This is one I was going to show for demo. It's just kind of like a sales dashboard. It's going to show all the closed sale information. You can also look at it from a one revenue standpoint. Down here at the bottom, you'll have your customers. You can sort by sales rep. You can go back into the opportunities from here. One of the things that I really love about this is here you've got your lifetime costs, which is, it's kind of difficult to set up in ConnectWise. It shows that lifetime, but then you can also see it from your recurring. So if you have like a recurring cycle of 12 months, it's going to break it out. Here's a kind of a good example of this one coming in at close to 18, and then it's breaking out to show you what your recurring is. So you can actually see that monthly recurring that's being brought in at any particular time. It's going to give you out of date opportunities, so you can kind of watch it for those sales reps, be like, hey, I need all of these updated. We actually bring everything in at the audit level, which is another difference from BrightGauge. We have available to look at everything. We've got ticket audit information available. We've also got sales audit information. I can actually show you how many times has this sale date, end date changed. Usually you'll see it changing around whenever those sales meetings are, which is typical. Sue, anything else on that?
Yes, just one more. So will it integrate with Datto RMM?
Unfortunately, it does not integrate with Datto. Right now, the only integrations that we have outside of ConnectWise, we do have a beta with LineGuard, and then we also have Automate on-prem reporting. We do have a long list of integrations on the roadmap, and Datto is on that list, but right now, those are the only things that we have. Now, if you have a lot of your Datto, if you have it going into ConnectWise in any way, form, or fashion, we can usually report on it that way. And that's usually what I see happening, like with your Automate or Lab Tech, anything. If you have those configs or anything going back into ConnectWise, we've probably created a report for that. Sue, is there more?
One more question here. Worried that my data is not clean enough to get good reporting.
Good question. So the only time I see clean data is when I just work with somebody who they've been on ConnectWise for 3 or 4 months, so they have clean ConnectWise. I've been using ConnectWise since about 2003, so I understand clean data versus not. Now, it is, garbage in, garbage out a little bit. It is data reporting. So the thing that Cognition360 is going to do for you is it's going to quickly point out where that dirty data is on your agreement profitability. It's going to quickly let you see, okay, where do I need to have some agreement cleanup? That's the main place where I see it, is with your agreement setup, and how do you have your additions set up and your costs on those additions set up? Do you have labor set up in your additions? Anybody that's been on ConnectWise a long time, they probably are going to have a little bit more cleanup than others. And usually what I tell them, because I will point it out to you, anytime I see areas of improvement, I'm going to say, okay, this is an area where I think that we need to put some focus in. You didn't get there overnight, so we can't fix it all overnight. So it's prioritizing it out. Like, I'm going to clean up this first, and then I'm going to move to my agreement additions, and then I'm going to move to, the first one I always say that needs to be done, and you're not going to get good data, or you're not going to be able to figure out capacity. Your profitability is going to be off, and that is utilization. And I'm not so big on account management, sales managers having to put in all of their time, but anybody that's putting time, billable time in the system, you need to be factoring in all their time to be able to see, when do I need to hire? What is my lost time? All of that's one of the most important pieces to run an MSP, and the reporting that we can give you it just makes it so much easier to not only see it, but also explain it to the engineers so they understand the why behind it. Anything else, Sue, before we keep going? I love all these questions.
Sorry, can you explain the licensing and cost piece again? Can you just go over that briefly again? Yeah.
So it is based on users, ConnectWise users. Most of our cost is really in data and support. So we kind of know like up to this many users, how much it's going to be. So up to 30 ConnectWise users, you're at $349 a month. That's our first tier. And then it kind of goes up from there. It's usually somewhere between $100 and $150 per 10 users. But if, feel free to email me, and what I'll need is how many ConnectWise users you have. And I can get you a price, a definite, this is what the price would be. The licensing to use Cognition360, we would need an Office 365 account set up for Cognition with a Power BI Pro license. And then everybody using the reports will also need that Power BI Pro license. So I get asked the question a lot of, well, what about the free? What, can I just use the free license, or can people view it with the free? Unfortunately not. You have to have the Pro license. And usually most of the MSPs we work with, they look at their Microsoft level subscription and they have most of what they need, if not all of them. So it is something to check out. You're not going to put the type of reporting that we have, you're probably not going to give it to everyone in your company. So I would look at it as, management level. I definitely recommend sales and account management, just because of the data that we can give to them without them having to go and ask other people. And then of course, anybody in finance, operations. So it wouldn't be that your whole company would need it. It's just mainly the ones that are going to need this more high level type reporting.
Thanks, Christy.
Anything else? Yeah. So what we're on now is called Common Issues. This is probably one of my favorite reports, probably because I was trying to build it myself at my last MSP. This is your type, subtype, and item reporting. In here, you've got all of your ticket types, your subtypes, and your items. You also have it by client. And then if you have your resource cost in, which is another place where I'm looking when I say dirty data, is I would love to have fully burden rate set up for every single person. So that way you can get your true profitability by cost, but you can also see your type, subtype, and item. So, what is printing costing me? What did password resets cost me for this client last month? Those are the type of clicks a button information that you can get from this report. If I click on a client here, you'll see where it does sort the data for you. Let you see what type of tickets that they have. I can see that they had about 99 tickets just in Workstation. And then I can also see what that information is costing me. The other thing you can do is see their ticket volumes. So I can see that they've had an increase over the last couple of months, and then also their labor volumes as well. So usually what I say is this is a great report to look at when I'm gonna go into agreement profitability now. When you see somebody that has a lower profitability, their agreement tanked for some reason last quarter or last month, and I want to know why, that common issue report is going to really help you quickly see, okay, what was the issue with that particular client. Now, we do have drill through into this report as well. So the way agreement profitability, and we have some clients that they literally pay for Cognition360 for this one report. And when I say one report, I mean agreement profitability. And then you have all of these pages, which are basically more reports. You can look at it by all of your types. So this first page, you can see all of your agreement types here. Especially, I love it when there's like Office 365 separated out from managed. You can actually see your overall margin for each of these in particular items. And then here you can see just your managed service by themselves agreement. What are we doing on those agreements? Over here, you do have your trending margin, effective rate, contribution rates. You can drill into this by client. So you can see here, I'm looking at last 12 months. So it's a good place for you to see quickly. This is more of a, hey, how are we doing on meeting alliance? Oh, we've got 78% margin for that client. Are we keeping pretty steady? Yeah, we're staying pretty steady with that client. Now, as you can see, these margins are pretty high. A lot of that is because those Office 365 and those Azure charges are not in these agreements. So there's one of the things that I always kind of look for is like, do you have this all you can eat agreement set up with everything in it? And then it's, one line item out that way. It's really going to be hard to get that 70%, 80% margin on these managed services agreements if you've got these kind of high revenue, low margin additions in there, like Office. So that's why I always say, even just create a product agreement if it's product only. In your managed agreement, what I'm looking for is tool costs. So if I go into this is the one I say look at monthly. If I'm looking at this top one here, United Shipping Solutions, I can see last month I billed them almost $22K for the month. Their additions cost is coming in here at pretty much the same amount for a 0% margin. So it's some sort of pass-through agreement. This is where I would look at your data and be like, what is this? Sometimes it might be that the price and cost was set up the same way. It's making the margin look like zero when it's not. So it's finding these kind of things out, and it quickly will point out to you. Now, the cool thing about Cognition is if you fix costs in your system, like if you have something that has the wrong costs or you've got labor in your costs, which we don't want because we're going to capture your true labor, you can keep up with those in a list. And I would show you how to do that with a nice little extract spreadsheet that we have of all your additions. Make those changes in your agreement and then give them to us, and we can actually take them back for you historically to still give you historical data. So now in ConnectWise, once you invoice something, it's pretty much locked. You can't really change it for that particular month. You fix it and then you fix it going forward. With Power BI and with Cognition, one of those beauties of Power BI is we can actually make those changes for you back historically to still give you that historical profitability. So one of the things with that, dirty data that you're talking about, which like I said, all of us have a little bit of cleanup here and there. You're going to be able to clean it up, and most of the time we're going to be able to take it back for you historically to still give you the profitability that you need or the cost. Let's say that you, I don't know, maybe had 2 new employees and you forgot to put in a rate for them, so it's showing a rate of 0. I would be able to take those in and take them back for you historically. So in ConnectWise, it's going to have your cost set at 0 where we could put it in and give it back to you to see historical profitability in there. With this information, you can drill directly down in. So I could see what my labor hours are. One of the things I do is look for these peaks immediately. And then those are the ones that I'm going to drill into. If I sort by agreement type and just look at my managed, those are the ones that are going to have most of my labor. So here I can see this car checks, pretty good labor. Everything's in the blue. Then we drop down to this pink. I want to know what happened, drill through into my ticket and labor. And then here's all the information for that particular month. I can see up here, I've got a 10-hour ticket. I can click on that ticket. And if I have good types of type of item, which you can see for this demo, it does not, it would let me know right then what is it that caused this issue. You'd be surprised
Christy,
when I see printers. Yeah, sorry, Sue.
Sorry, just one more question. This
Yeah.
is in relation to financial data. And can other sources such as Immersion and QuickBooks be pulled in to help with the reporting?
So at this point, no. Now, I say no. It's kind of like, yes. The reporting that we have in Cognition is going into Power BI. It's just integrating with your ConnectWise. There is an option where you can do what we call self-hosting. So instead of having everything in our data warehouse, you can actually put it in your own Azure or in your own warehouse to where you have access to all the data sets. And then you could pull in your own QuickBooks into that and then create some reports where you're using both your QuickBooks data and your ConnectWise data. You would probably have to have a little bit of Power BI experience to be able to create those reports yourself or add in what you needed. But it's pretty easy to do. We've definitely helped people from a customization standpoint, and we could look into that, like doing some sort of custom reporting for you that way. But doing it just the normal way, we don't currently have that QuickBooks. It's on the roadmap, but it's not in there yet.
Thank you. Another question. Do we have dashboards that display revenue for the month and also from different areas of ConnectWise? So in your financial reporting, like if we move from here, you've got all of these other financial reports. We do lock down, have everything that has to do with profitability in finance, so you can lock it down. We do have a overall
customer profitability section. This is going to give you kind of like looking at last 12 months, build cost profit. You can go to your summary page. This is going to break it out for you by agreement, project, time and material procurement. You can scroll over and see pretty large spreadsheet here, but you also can export any of this information out, or you can drill through into the profitability details, and then it's going to also break out for you here. So I can see that they have had no procurement, but they had actually no project billing either. And then all of their work is going in from a T&M perspective, and then also an agreement perspective. So that's where their amount is coming into. You do have profitability metrics by client in here, so we're going to actually rank everybody from a revenue standpoint, also a profit standpoint. I like this one in regards to, hey, who's our whales? You know, what percentage of income are these folks, or what percentage of income or of profit are they? If we've lost this client, how much profitability would we lose? So that's in there for you. And then there is a way to create dashboards within Power BI. So you basically go and you hit a pin visual of any visual that you want, and you can put it into a single pane of glass using the dashboarding feature of Power BI. Anything else, Sue?
No, just actually one last one. How does onboarding work?
So with onboarding, basically when you first sign up for trial, you put in payment information. Nothing is charged till the end of your trial. That lets us know, hey, they're ready to begin trial. At that point, we will send you over the provisioning steps. Usually it's about 30 to 40 minutes of work on your end. And then it takes us about 5 to 7 business days to ingest your data, get your reports ready, and pushed over to your Power BI. Once they're in your Power BI, you can actually start looking at them whenever the provisioning team tells you, hey, these are ready. When they tell you they're ready, they're also going to send you a link that says, let's set up your first onboarding. Your first onboarding session will be about an hour long. And that once you have onboarding 1, that is when your trial would start. So you would have 21 days from your onboarding 1 session. Usually I like to fit in at least 2 onboardings during that 21-day period. Depending on the size company you are, you know, especially if you're, you know, usually around 70 users or so, I like to even break up onboardings by department. So we're going to have an account management onboarding, a sales, a finance and operations, project management. And that way, you know, maybe even just 30-minute sessions, not taking a whole lot of time, but they're really digging into just their area of reporting. Anything else, Sue, right
Great,
now?
thank you. No, that's it for now.
All right. I know we're getting close to time. Let me show you a little bit here on project summary, project management reporting. So we do have a full project workspace as well, where you've got resource availability planning, active project tickets. You can look at all the project tickets that you have active. This project summary is going to let you see a list of all your project managers. How many projects are they managing? Your total projects. This is, you can see here with selection, I have canceled and closed and deselected there. If I go into the project detail page, this is one of those areas when I am going to look at your data to say, hey, are you putting in budget hours? This is a pretty important one to manage projects, especially in ConnectWise, to make sure that these budget hours are in there. Now, to take it a step further, phase these projects out and put these budget hours into that phase as well. So that way you can see by phase, and you can actually see, okay, this, you know, we're at, you know, like this one's gone over, but are we at almost the end of our phase? You do have a availability to drill in. So if I drill into this one here, and it does have phases, good. I can see that all of this is closed. It's just still sitting at open. So something is either it's not closed out, but the good news is that all of these phases are closed. You can also see that this particular phase went over. Now, if you start building your phases out, it's a way for you to look at closed projects of similar size and say, hey, we're going over almost every time on this phase. We need to increase this when we go to scope this out for another client. You can also drill all the way down into your labor. as well, and it's going to give you your labor notes. For demo, it doesn't have them, and then also down to your tickets. So one of the things that I love about this project summary and also this weekly dashboard, which is just a condensed version, you just about, as long as you set up your project right the first time, you just about do not have to go into ConnectWise and to manage these projects. So I like to show that one. The other one I like to show is time entry. We do have a couple of benchmarking reports. We're actually building out more of these right now, where we benchmark you against other MSPs. This time entry benchmark is it's basically utilization and timeliness, real-time time entry. So best in class is 90%. You can pick this by team, by time period. Here, it's defaulted to immediate entry because I want real-time time entry. This is going to let me see your benchmarking ratings at 94%, so you're above best in class. Now, it's going to be the lower of these two scores. If I go to my timeliness quality, you can see here your recorded hour rating and also your timeliness rating per person. And then down here at the bottom, you can see you've got a couple of people that are under best in class. We actually are going to score every single time entry that they put in with a percentage score and tell you why. So like here, I can see they had 41 tickets at the 40% mark, time entered anytime next day relative to time record. The time was completed on 6/2, not put in until 6/3. You can see that most of these are just charge codes. Not super worried about charge code ones. The ones I'm worried about are the ones that have tickets. If they have tickets, it's usually a client. Another thing that it does, when I see those lower percentage scores, a lot of times I see that rounded time as well. So we want real time, we want actual time, and we don't want rounded time. That is one of those places where I would look at your data, and if I just saw a bunch of zeros or fives or 0.5s, I would say, hey, are you rounding on your time? What that's going to do is it's going to overutilize you, make your team look like you need to hire when you might not. Also, it's going to affect your profitability by not using that actual time. So those are a few things that I would look for in your data if I saw it. The cool thing is a trial doesn't cost you anything. It is totally risk-free. I've never had somebody sign up for a trial that didn't get something out of it. Actually, about 95% of the time, if they sign up, they don't leave us. So it is pretty awesome. I've been in this space for 20 years, and it's the best reporting I've ever seen out there, which is why I work here today. So would love to talk to you again. Feel free to, oh, Sue, you want to do the poll,
can
right?
you trigger that poll? Yeah, that would be great.
Well, let's see if I can trigger it here. Launch. All right, so I just did a poll, if you guys don't mind answering that really quickly. And while that is going, again, my contact information is Christy.Perez at Cognition360.com. And I think I can pull that up here for you now. And Sue, do you know when our next, we try to do these open demos about once a month. So if there's anybody else on your team that would like to see them, just let me know. Hey, when's your next open demo? Happy to show your team just a normal demo with me. We can just set up a time to go through it as well. I'm going to go ahead and end that now. And thank you so much for joining us today. Sue, any last minute questions before we go?
No last minute questions. I'll be sending out a copy of the recording in the next couple of days. So you might be able to share that with your team members.
Well, thank you all for joining. I really appreciate it. And hopefully I talk to you again soon.